My name is Kevin Lamb, and my component is an Airbnb-inspired image carousel. Let's take a look. The user is presented with the initial thumbnail. Clicking on the thumbnail will reveal a bootstrap modal, which contains two slick sliders. The first slick slider is the main image with a description, and the second slick slider is thumbnails of subsequent images within the gallery. And the users can click these arrows to move forward and backward within the gallery, or click on an image of their choice for it to be the main image being shown. To close, there's a close button at the bottom, or a user can just click out of the modal itself. Now, let's talk about some of the challenges I faced along the way. My initial challenge, which I'm still working on at this point, is how components are rendered upon calling the server. When I initially built the component using hard-coded data, the image slider would render perfectly on the screen every time. It then came as a surprise when I called the server for my data, and the image slider was no longer working as I expected. That is, the images would appear, but not in a slider formation. I began by researching lifecycle methods of React. I started using component did mount, but I learned quickly this would not work because the component will have already rendered before component did mount had run. It then seemed component will mount would be the best approach. However, the component will still render with empty data at least once because asynchronous calls to fetch data will not return before rendering. So this method works, but just not on my initial load. So this is a bug that I'm still working on, and I continue to explore options to get this image to render every time on initial load. Another challenge I faced was just simply intimidation. For example, I was using jQuery AJAX calls to call my server. Not because it was the best method, but because it was what I knew. I was too intimidated to read up on Axios, and it wasn't until I actually saw an article where a user was using Axios, I saw how dead simple it was. Needless to say, I'm now an Axios fan, and would have been sooner if I had just taken time to explore the option rather than being scared away by it. My final challenge was workflow. In fact, the biggest lesson I think I took away from this application was building an approach for a larger project and breaking it down to manageable chunks. Intimidation also comes into play here because I caught myself perfecting the parts of the component that I already rather built rather than jumping into new material, such as testing. When I reflect on this week, I can certainly determine where I did my best and where I can improve my workflow to become more efficient in working on large projects. So that's my component. I hope you enjoyed, and I look forward to seeing everyone on Monday.